I don't know if y'all just heard me. Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. It's the morning for me. I don't know if my mic was on or not. I started talking, but it's the morning for me. It may be the afternoon for some of you guys on the East Coast, but we are back to regular scheduled programming per usual. Okay. Because we talk about a number of things over here on Neek at Night. Okay. We talk about real life issues. We talk about celebrity news. We talk about gossip. We talk about it all. We don't just invest in one person like some of you stands may do. We move around and we move along and we get to the nitty and gritty of real life issues. We tackle real life things as well. And we also get into some things with some drama and some gossip. It just is what it is. We moving right along. Y'all blowing up my inbox, my DMs, my Instagram with a whole lot of that. It's like, sis, I'm on to my other stuff. Like, move around. Anyways, so Common, if you guys are not aware, him and Jaguar Wright. I guess she had came out and said some things about him, and he is now clarifying about that. We're gonna get into that. But first, we're going to get into this Walter Wallace story. So Walter Wallace is a young man who was shot and killed by the police a few days ago. And when he was killed by the police, he was walking towards the police officers with a knife. And it was said that he had this mental illness situation going on. And when he approached the police officers and he seemed to be very erratic, he was then shot down. I did a live a couple of days ago and I showed you guys the video of him approaching the cops and his untimely demise. For those of you guys who are not familiar with Walter Wallace, I'm going to show, I guess, a little bit of a video to bring you guys up to speed on who he was, just to give you a quick synopsis of what we're talking about and how now people are thinking that his family was suddenly paid off in the matter. After I talk about Walter Wallace, then we're going to go into talking about Jaguar Wright and Common situation, and we're going to be talking about that just a little bit to get how you guys feel about the matter. So let me pull up this video of the incident that took place with Walter Wallace, and then I'm going to tell you what's going on now where people feel like his family was paid off by the police department. Let me share my screen for a second, bring this up on my screen, and we're going to get into this conversation. Let me take him down. All right. So here is just a quick breakdown of what is going on. Okay, so on the caption, it says, police said that the incident started with a call about a man with a knife. It then says the man killed was identified as Walter Wallace Jr.
Immediately they noticed that he had a knife in his possession, and he was brandishing it and waving it erratically.
As I was telling the police to stop, don't shoot my son. Please don't shoot my son. They paid me no money. And they just shot him.
Yo, this is crazy out here.
Okay, so as you see that, it says the family says that he suffered from bipolar disorder, and then it also says that the cops did not have a taser in the matter. I had a whole entire live where I talked about this situation, and there was a lot of people who were in a crossfires of feeling like this was justified versus unjustified. There was people who felt like it was totally justified, being that he had a knife and he was charging at the officers, and they felt like it was a justified shooting. Then you had people on the flip side who felt like it was totally unjustified. They felt like there was no reason that it should have resulted in him losing his life if he was having an episode. Now, when I first started to hear about this story, I was under the impression that he was like a total like mental, you know how they have like the total like mental patients where it's just like, you know, they just like out of their mind kind of all the time. And it's like you have to come with a certain type of approach. But when I was looking at it a little further, and then they said that he had bipolar disorder, that is part of a mental health issue. But I do believe that he seemed to be leading a rather on the more normal side of things. Like when I thought about it, I was thinking like something else. I don't know. I don't want my words to get taken out of context or whatever. But as it has come out, you know, prior to this event happening, I believe like 2 weeks before this shooting, he had gotten married to a woman. And then I guess within a few days of this shooting, the woman ended up having a baby, and they had a child, and all these things like that. So there was a lot of people who felt divided about it. There was a lot of people who felt they felt kind of like really divided in this situation because, you know, they felt like, you know, there needs to be proper training. There needs to be police held accountable. Police need to not be killing Black men, and they need to not be brandishing their weapons for these types of calls. Then, like I said, there was the people who felt the opposite. So now fast forward, his attorney has come forward, and people were questioning whether or not they were looking to charge the officers with murder, or if they were looking to seek murder in his demise. Now, his attorneys came forward and they said that they weren't looking to seek for murder. They weren't looking to charge the officers with murder. And a lot of people felt like the family must have been paid off. Now, I feel like they probably seen where their case probably could really go as far as his actual mental state, and like, you know, because this is what'll happen. The media will say certain trigger or certain words, and like it'll be not really fully reality. Like, for example, I don't mean to bring Breonna Taylor in this in a negative way, but just trying to say that, you know, the media will feed certain information that people will go off on when it'll be alternate of reality. Like, for example, Breonna Taylor, when they first started talking about it, they started saying that Breonna Taylor was sleeping in her bed and they just shot, and, you know, it just was like unprovoked, like it totally just came and then like guns a-blazing. That's kind of how they first reported it. Then when the facts started coming out, it was revealed that Breonna Taylor wasn't asleep. She was in her hallway, actually. So I say that to say sometimes there are certain words used to the media, but then the actual reality of the story starts to play out. Now, I don't bring Breonna Taylor in this to say that she's not, you know, I want y'all to take my words. I'm not saying that she's not a victim. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying how certain information can be sped alternate of the reality of the actual facts of what's going on. So I say that to say the attorneys have now reviewed their what they're up against. They reviewed the body camera. I feel like they could have possibly understood, like, you know, maybe we can't really go after them, you know, but we can go after the city. I'm going to play what his attorney had to say. Somebody said, Nick, are you still practicing at the shooting range? Yes, I'm actually going to the shooting range tomorrow. But let me pull up the video of his attorney speaking out and saying that they are not seeking to charge the officers.
No. And the short answer, no. The question was, are we calling for the officers to be charged? And I think that you're asking, are we asking for the officers to be charged with something like murder, right? That's what he's asking me. Yes? Is that what he's asking me? That's what he's asking me? Okay. All right. And what I'm saying to you is, listen, to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. You understand? If you send the police to service communities and the only thing you give them is a lethal weapon, I'm answering your question, but I'm going to take the long route if it's okay. At the academy, sir, they give you a badge and a gun. And then they teach you not to wound, they teach you to kill. That's what they train you to do. I was a SWAT trained, SWAT certified member of the police department right here in front of me. I'm telling you not what I read in the book, what I know. They train you to be an assassin when the time calls for it. You have to use your discernment to figure out which time that is. It was not this time. However, those particular officers were only given a tool by which to assassinate, which is a service weapon chock full of ammunition, but nothing in between. No taser, no less than lethal device that would have been so appropriate in this particular circumstance. All you wanted to do was incapacitate him long enough to get him under control. And then whether he gets 302'd or taken to a mental facility or whatever happens after that, no problem. We never got to that because they went straight to the death penalty outside that particular house.
That language makes it seem like you believe the police officers committed a crime. Death penalty, assassins, these are death penalty. That's a crime in the penal code.
No. Let me address this, and I'll go right to you. The death penalty isn't a crime. The death penalty is a sentence. And what happened is that man was tried, he was adjudged and found guilty, and he was sentenced by those two officers on that street. That's what happened. And the sentence they decided that was appropriate for him was death. That's what took place. You with me? You with me? Right? That's what took place. Now, the question that stemmed from that gentleman is, does the family think that those officers should be charged? And I imagine the question he's really asking is with murder, right? Charged with murder. And what my answer to you is and remains, and we told the city department that this morning. We told them this morning. I don't think so, right? And here's why. Here's why. They were improperly trained and did not have the proper equipment by which to effectuate their job. They didn't have it.
So should they be charged with something? They're not going to be charged with murder?
Well, let me say this to you. We've had extensive conversations today, as I indicated earlier, with Mr. Krasner. And I do know that that particular answer is in the province of the district attorney, all right? Thus far, and I'm qualifying my words and I'm choosing them artfully, I said earlier, so far, there's been strict transparency, right? So far, there's been transparency. I would be disappointed, the family would be disappointed if somehow that transparency went away and things sort of made a left in a way that we weren't expecting. I expect there to be, this family has been promised a full investigation. This family has been promised whatever the city's version of justice is, this family has been promised that. So it's fine for the police commissioner, for the mayor, for the district attorney, everybody to come to the church on Tuesday and we kumbaya with one another and hold hands. That's all very good. But now the hard decisions have to be made. So those are very sexy questions to ask. Do you think they should be charged? But here's the kicker. Does the chief lawman in our county, whose office is right behind us, does he think that? That is the question. Does the chief lawman, whose office is right behind us, think that what he saw on those body cameras is worthy of those officers being charged?
Did he give you any indication?
He did not. He did not. He did not.
Okay, so that's what the attorney had to say as it pertains to whether or not they should be charged. And a small clip of this was shared on the Shade Room. And on the Shade Room, there was a lot of people who felt like, okay, well, this must mean that, they must have been paid off. They were like, the family must have been paid off and et cetera, et cetera. I myself personally, I don't think that the family, quote unquote, was paid off by law enforcement. They do have a GoFundMe account where they have garnered up to $170,000 for his wife. But I don't think, in my opinion, that they were, quote unquote, paid off. I just think that they realistically looked at who they can go after, and they took the approach of, okay, well, we probably can't really go after the cops because in essence, for us, it's like, F that, it's not just them doing their job because we see how they handle white people, da da da. But it's like, even though that is true that they do give white people passes, and they don't always do their quote unquote job the same for everybody. I think realistically they looked at that matter of, there's a guy with a knife, he's charging at the officers, and can we really go after them? Will we be successful in going after them? I think they've figured who was the bigger fish to fry, and the bigger fish to fry is the judicial system, who is in charge of actually training them and providing them with the tasers, the batons, and the things like that. So I think that the bigger fish to fry is the actual department who is in charge of sending them out, and not properly giving them the tools to de-escalate the situation. They have police forces in other countries where they come to situations like this, and they have shields and they have tactics and they have things like that. So I think that's honestly, a lot of people felt like that was like the dumb thing to do. I think that was kind of the smart thing to do, is to go after the people who is in charge of training them, the people who's in charge of not properly giving them the tools, because this is bigger than, just, what meets the eye, if I may say. If that's making sense. I kind of sound like I feel like I'm rambling, but hopefully you guys understand, what I was saying. But let me show you some of the comments that people were making under the shade room, where they felt like, well, the family must have been, paid off, yada, yada, yada. Let me show you some of the things that they were saying. Let me bring that up. Let me share my screen. And then I'm going to read to you guys about, a little bit more about this, and then we're going to move on. So, like I said, they shared a little clip of it, and their clip didn't really even show like what it was. So it says, if the officers were improperly trained, then they shouldn't be officers. You wouldn't let an improperly trained doctor operate on you. And then it says, why do Black people always want to be the bigger person? And then this person says his family got paid. And then it was a lot of they got paid comments. The forgiveness angle has to be a prerequisite for a payout. So these people are saying, for them being forgiving in this way, it has to be a prerequisite of a payout. And there was so many other comments where people were saying, they got paid. This person, so in other words, they're waiting for those coins, blah, blah, blah. And like I said, me in my personal opinion, I don't feel like they quote unquote got paid. As you see, there's several comments who say, they got paid. I just think that realistically, the bigger fish to fry is the police department. Because honestly speaking, will they actually be charged? Will you waste your time going after people who in essence are not going to be charged, or do you go after the bigger fish to fry? That's just kind of how I look at it. Other people may look at it different. But like I said, there was a GoFundMe that was set up. This GoFundMe was set up, I guess, for his wife. They had set up the GoFundMe, and it says that, he was 27-year-old man, Walter Wallace Jr. Not only was he a son, he was a father to a host of kids. So he had multiple kids. He has a daughter that's due any day now, and I believe she's been born by now. And it says, and a newlywed to my best friend, Dom. And then it says, I'm asking to help her as she faces the loss of her husband. She still has to mentally and physically be there to her, for her children, along with welcoming their new baby girl in this sad world. So they garnered up to $170,000, or just shy of $170,000. And I believe this is the wife speaking.
Like, it's too many people that donated for me to say thank you to everybody individually, but I, like, truly, genuinely, like, wholeheartedly thank everybody for all the donations and the prayers, everything. As me and my children, like, try to get through this situation. Like, this is not like a temporary thing for us. This is a forever like situation for us. And I thank y'all for all y'all support and everything. And here, see, I got a brand new baby and everything. Like, so this is like really not even like a describable moment right now. But I'm very gracious for the $5, $10, $100. Like, but people I don't even know there's like really here supporting, and I thank everybody like wholeheartedly.
Okay, so that is his wife and mother of his child, and as it said, he had multiple children. Um, I want to know what you guys think about it. What do you guys think about this situation as a whole? I want to get at least 2 people to comment on it. If you guys could click the StreamYard link, and then I'm going to move on over to Jaguar. So if I can get at least 2 people to comment real quick before I move on, what do you think about the capacity? Because as stated, I've seen somebody in the comments say you can't just look at somebody and tell, from looking at them if they have mental illness, which I'd agree. You can't just look at them, but there is a spectrum of mental illness and there is a spectrum. So I'm interested to know exactly where he lied on that spectrum. And I would like to know exactly just a little bit more just for me. Not justifying the officers, but I would just like to know in terms of the scope of it. We're going to bring on Sam.
Oh, hey, how you doing? That was quick. No, I was just calling to say that I mean I kind of understand the lawyer's position, uh, because rationally, you know that they're going like you said they're going for the overall I guess what do you call that retraining of the police angle, and then
Mhm.
secondly, I mean the guy was kind of coming at him with a knife, and so you kind of lose a little leverage when you're on the attack, and it's not like they can know that you have bipolar disorder. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'll let y'all go because I always get caught up talking half sideways when I'm on this thing. So y'all have a good one. I just wanted to call leave my comment.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Someone said another YouTuber said the police was called to that location 3 times that morning for him. I believe that I seen something where it said like he had a lot of calls before. So I really don't know. Is there anybody else who wanted to chime in before we move on over to Jaguar situation? He had several kids. He has several kids. He had just gotten married. I don't know if the number is 8 per se. I don't know the exact number. I can't confirm if it was 8 for sure, but he does have a multitude of kids and he just got married 2 weeks ago, I want to say. So, let me read this. It says Walter Wallace gets a kiss from his wife Dominique on his wedding day a few weeks ago on Wednesday. A few days after that, he shot and she gave birth to his baby girl. And let me see if it says a number of children. Special?
Yes. Hi, Nick. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
So with this situation, it definitely hits close to home because I've been there personally with family myself, my own siblings. But what I really saw was a video where a mother, her son was having a mental crisis and she needed help. And when you're in that situation, there's I personally have siblings who do have bipolar disorder on different spectrums. And when they're in that state, senses leave them, you can't stop them, you can't intervene. You call the police, you request to have a pet team come from the hospital, and you hope for the best. But something also that I see too in a lot of comments and everything is our awareness to mental health in our community. I think if we had a lot more dialogue going on about that part, we may have more resources in place and seek more help, and maybe more, less prone to have to call the police. But I definitely agree with you. The bigger fish to fry is, going after the training and who's training the police and how these situations are dealt with and in different parts. But I've definitely been one of the more fortunate people to where in my area, they actually were trained how to properly handle the situation, but it definitely needs to be something that needs to be attacked everywhere else. But
Alrighty.
yeah, that's my
Thank
take.
you.
You're welcome.
All right, so now we're going to go on over to Jaguar Wright. So Jaguar Wright has been making her rounds around the blogs, around the internet, and she has been given a lot of salacious tales of things that happened while she was a member of the industry. She used to be a backup singer of some sorts for some people, and she did some vocals on, I believe, Jay-Z's Song Cry, and she was in the industry and she was around industry people. Since her time in the industry, she has came forward and she has been on the scene, and she has been doing a multitude of slanderous, salacious comments about a lot of people. One of the people that she made a comment about was Common. And then she made comments about, Tevin Campbell. She made comments about Summer Walker. She made comments about Alicia Keys, Foxy Brown, Mary J. Blige. And she had a lot of salacious tales to say about, Clive Davis and people putting hits out on people and, all kind of stuff like that. There has been several people to call Jaguar out as being a liar, and they feel like she was not telling the truth. And then you have celebrities who ignore her and don't respond. There are a lot of people who believe what she says, and they believe everything that she says, and they believe that everything that she says is true based on rumors that they've heard before. Now, me personally, I've told you guys before, I think that some of the things that she says, obviously, if you are a person in the industry, obviously you're going to have encounters with certain people. Obviously, you're also going to hear gossip, rumors, and chatter. I think that, and I've said in my videos before, I feel like she has mixed in rumors and some truths. I feel like some of it is her encounter of the character of certain people. But I think a lot of the salaciousness is her passing off assumptions and rumors as truths. Now, again, you're entitled to feel like you believe her if you want to. But I don't believe everything that she says. That's just me. One of the things that she said was Common, I guess they had a situation where she woke up and he tried to stick his Peter in her face. And she came forward and said, she was sleeping and Common tried to stick his Peter in her face. Now, when this allegation had came forward, I didn't really speak on it because I didn't know the capacity of their relationship. And I don't feel like she gave enough context to me, because if I'm in a sexual relationship with somebody and they try to put the Peter in my face, that's different than if I'm just asleep at a friend's house and it's unprovoked Peter in my face, if you get what I mean. So I didn't really have enough context to really understand the depths, because I'm a person, I like freaky shit. Like, I like to be woke up to some dick. That's just me. But that doesn't mean that everybody does. So I didn't really know the context. I was like, were they dating? Were they, was this just, just some creep shit? Was this just some, I didn't get the full context of it. So I kind of left the story alone, because I'm just leave it alone, because I don't have enough answers. But I'm going to play I'm going to play for you what she said.
Next thing I know.
I'm going to play for you what she said, and then I'm going to play for you what he said, and then I'm going to get you guys' opinion on that. The StreamYard link is pinned to the top. So, the stream, somebody said grown woman shit. Yes. I mean, that's just me. Shit, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a difference when a guy that you messing with do it and a guy that is just on some creep stuff. So I didn't never get the context. Like, was it, you know what I'm saying? And then you see pictures of them and she was kissing on them, and you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, if they were dating, that's kind of different, you know? So I don't really know. Like, again, I like I said, I'm gonna just play it, and I want to know what y'all think. Again, there are several people who have come out and said that, you know, she has told lies on them and she has said things, and I think that she's one of the type of people who will go off of a line of something and then just add on fluff because it sounds good, you know. That's just me. Somebody said, why sue someone who can't even afford an egg McMuffin? I mean, that's kind of the logical thing, but you know, people don't think with logic. So they think if the celebrity not suing her, then she must be telling the truth. I think like you think logically. Why would I pay thousands of dollars on a lawyer to sue somebody and I'm not gonna get nothing out of it? I'm gonna just be out of my $1,000, like, you know. But I feel you. But anyways, let me play it. Let me play what she said.
Goddamn Common. Next thing I know, we go to bed. He like, oh, come on, Jack. No, I'm tired, nigga. I was on the stage all night. I want to lay down. I'm gonna lay down in the bed. I lay down with my clothes on. You know what I mean? I'm a rape survivor. I know how to buy myself a little time. You know what I mean? Just in case a nigga try to get out of hand, you gotta pull my pants down. By the time you get my pants down, I promise you I'm hooking off in your jaw. That's how I grew up. That's how I grew up.
Okay, so the first thing she said that stuck out, we went to bed. So it sounds like they both went to bed in the same bed. And she said, I was tired and I wanted to buy myself some time. So basically they was, to what it sounds like to me, is that they was fucking, but she just didn't feel like fucking that night. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. And I feel like that's a lot different than a guy just totally being on some creep squad stuff. And I think that stuff like this is very important to listen to what, you know, somebody says, because these allegations are not light. Like, this is something that can actually ruin a person's life. And I don't think that it's cool. Like, if I'm effing a dude and then I'd be like, yeah, he came in, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, I just look at stuff differently. I don't know. But I'm going to play it again so that you guys can listen to what she said. And then I'm going to play what Common said.
Next thing I know, we go to bed. He like, oh, come on, Jack. No, I'm tired, nigga. I was on the stage all night. I want to lay down. I'm going to lay down in the bed. I lay down with my clothes on. You know what I mean? I'm a rape survivor. I know how to buy myself a little time. You know what I mean? Just in case a nigga try to get out of hand, you got to pull my pants down. By the time you get my pants down, I promise you I'm hooking off in your jaw. That's how I grew up. That's how I grew up. The next thing I wake up this morning, I feel something poking in my face and shit, right? And it's just poking in my face, and I'm, what the fuck? And I'm like, and I open my mouth, this nigga trying to stick his dick in my mouth while I'm asleep. Lonnie fucking Lynn, Rashid, Common, whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. Goddamn.
I mean, I like freak shit like that. I'm sorry. And not to discredit her, but it just sounds like regular adult relationship type stuff. Like, y'all fucking and he tried to, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just, I don't know. There's, I don't know. Like I said, there's stuff that I listen to and I'm just like, okay, I understand no means no. Obviously, nobody's saying that you can't say no, and it's I don't know. Let me stop rambling because I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think that it's fair to throw out certain things for regular adult business, because that's kind of what it sounds like. It sounds like I just wasn't in the mood that night. You know what I'm saying? but she's throwing it off like a creepy rape, sexual assault situation. Like, that's how she's throwing it out there. But if you really listen to what she's saying, it just sounds like maybe we were sexually active, but I just wasn't in the mood that night. That's kind of what it sounds like. But if you guys, if y'all see it differently, you free to call in and expound. The link is in the chat. But here's what Common had to say.
You know, I love you. I love your music. I think you're a good dude. You're dope in my opinion. And it would be remiss of me if I didn't ask you about Philly's own Jaguar Wright.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this. Man, God bless Jaguar. I really don't have any negative thoughts towards her. I was for surely disappointed and hurt when she said what she said about me because it wasn't true. And I know people that have experienced sexual assault, and that's not anything to just say if it's not true. But I also just understand that she may be going through some things that I don't understand. So in all truth, I went through like different emotions. I was like, man, why is she saying this? This is like not true. Why? Like, how is this going to affect me? But then I started thinking about, man, I don't know what she's going through.
Common, you know, I love you. I love your music.
All right. So that's what Common had to say. And I seen a couple comments that said, hold on, let me pull this comment up. Consent can be retracted at any time with a lover or not. I mean, that's common sense. Common sense is, you know, if I'm not in a mood, I don't want to do it. Clearly, she said he tried to poke his penis in her face. She didn't say he shoved his penis down her throat after she said no. She didn't say that he continued to keep going after she said no. So clearly, he possibly could have stopped. You know, she didn't say that. She said that he tried and she said no. I got a hair appointment, so I'm going to go. She said, no, baby, pray for yourself. Girl, I'm going to pray for me too. I'm going to pray that I have a good time tomorrow because I plan on having an amazing time. So y'all won't see me this tomorrow because I'm going to be out being a grown-up. And Brandon, don't play with me. Don't play with me talking about with Storm. Don't play with me. Quit playing. Quit playing with me. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. But bye y'all. But no, let me end on a serious note though. Let me end on a serious note. Like I really don't want y'all to think that, like, because people will like people will then turn this into, oh my gosh, she's like whatever. People gonna do what they do. Anyways, let me go. Bye y'all.